Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today I want to chat with you guys a little bit about time under tension, and it's something that most really good coaches I know with, again, oftentimes elite clients who have a background in science, an evidence-based background, they're usually like, look, this is completely nonsense, right? It doesn't mean anything. Uh, and that's time under tension. And the problem with it is that it's something that's been passed down. In other words, because some bodybuilding type coaches years ago started talking about it, it started getting circulated and talked about so much so that people just repeat it, right? They're repeaters. They're repeaters. They're repeating what they heard purely from bodybuilders instead of looking at, hey, has this been researched or does it even mean anything? Because what you start having happen is people will say, well, more time under tension, right, equals more muscle growth. And if we left it at that, they're probably right. Meaning, as long as you don't do anything to create more time under tension, specifically. In other words, if you lift 225 pounds for 8 reps and you get it up to 10 reps, guess what? You're probably going to be bigger, right? More time under tension, more total reps. You get 12 reps. You start doing 12 reps with 225. Well, that's going to be an even larger stimulus, right? More work done. Here's the problem with it. But people then start saying, oh, but it's the tension time that matters. Well, not really. It's because you were strong enough and had enough muscle mass to more easily do those early reps, and it didn't become challenging with that weight till later. It's still progressive overload. Okay? But guess what else would work? If you put 235 on and went back to 8, it'd probably be just as much stimulus. Even though tension time reduced, total tension went up. Because really, it's mechanical tension is really the primary driver, right? It's how much challenging work can you do, with increasing tension over time. All right, the issue, people start trying to go really slow. All right, so they're like, because we're chasing more time under tension, because they're looking at the time under tension itself as a driver, when it's completely irrelevant, they'll start slowing reps down. Okay. Well, here's the problem with that. All right, you saw the rep I just did there. That's a nice slow negative. All those reps are in the optimal range. Every eccentric rep I'm doing on that bench press is in the optimal time range for hypertrophy. Not my opinion. This is what studies have been showing for well over a decade. Do you know why? As long as you have any control on an eccentric, guess what? The growth stimulus is similar. And what has been found repeatedly, eccentrics lasting anywhere between 1 up to about 4 seconds all produce the exact same amount of muscle growth. The exact same amount. So how could tension time be a factor? It can't. The time itself isn't a factor in that regard. Well, it is because 1 to 4 seconds, but meaning adding more doesn't do more. In fact, what do we find? We find that in fact, plenty of studies have started to show that when we start reaching that 5 or 6 second or longer eccentrics, we actually get less muscle growth. We get less muscle growth. Not a lot less, but it's slightly less. Okay, so this clearly debunks the time under tension in that, because if 1 second and 3 seconds, for example, produce the exact same amount of muscle growth, and we're doing, say, 10 rep sets, so that extra 20 seconds of tension time produced no positive or negative effects. In other words, completely irrelevant as long as we're controlling the eccentric. And it's mainly they just found if we control it. When we exaggerate it, it causes less muscle growth, and it just makes you more sore. But then again, let's come back over to what do people equate with growth? Oh, if I got sore, I had a good workout. No, it just makes you sore, right? That's it. No benefit to it. You just got more sore for no reason. All right. We start taking it longer than that, muscle growth goes down. So there's the problem with that side of it. Well, what about the other end? How about if we lift it slower? Well, that's never been found to be effective either. In fact, we get no more hypertrophy when we slow it down, but it ends up changing the nature of the muscle fibers. In other words, really, really slow reps where we intentionally slow them down seems to remove the hypertrophy or reduce it of the highest threshold motor units, the ones that are really capable of high force, the ones that are capable of explosiveness. They actually get less stimulus. Okay? Whereas if we do the normal work until we get to those fibers, all the other slower twitch fibers still get hypertrophy. In other words, they don't necessarily grow any better because you went slower. They get about the same, but the faster twitch fibers get less growth. Well, that's not necessarily a good thing. Now people would say, well, what if I want the slower twitch to grow more? Well, if that's the case, then maybe just do some higher rep work. Because it's the fact that they're capable of handling more endurance that matters, right? Maybe stick up to a little bit higher reps, 8+ for most of your work if you really want to make sure that everything grows. Because all that's going to carry over to maxes. It doesn't matter. All muscle fiber growth carries over to your maxes. Okay. But it doesn't actually cause any more growth to lift slower. And if anything, the potential for more growth is there if we lift faster under control, right? Not talking about when we do cheating exercises or power exercises like those power curls you see me do, right? Because that's back to the eccentric loading. And eccentric loading does contribute very significantly to hypertrophy. It's an important part of the equation. Absolutely. Absolutely. But by doing it slow, it's not necessarily helpful. It's the fact that I'm doing an eccentric of the weight I wouldn't be able to normally lift because I'm using some body English to lift it. Okay, that's the difference. And here's ultimately what matters. At the end of the day, more workload, more quality reps, that is what equals muscle growth, as long as you can recover from it. So here's what I would say. Why don't you just work harder on each set? Okay. If your goal is to get the most time under tension, we'll see if you can do 1 to 2 more reps. There you go. You're also going to get closer to failure. You're going to get more quality work in a given set. Okay. There's your key. Not all of this trying to add tension through methods that don't actually do anything for muscle growth. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys next time.